Hello everyone. Let us now discuss this question. Find the number of copy arrays. So here we are given with original array 1 and also we are given with a bounds array. So we need to return the number of copy arrays that we can make. But there is a condition, right? So we will take the difference of the elements 1. 2 minus 1 would be 1, 3 minus 2 would be 1, 4 minus 3 will be 1. Now, if I take 1, but instead of taking 1, if I take this 2, there are two conditions. It should be in the range of the first bound of 0. So, it should be in the range of bounds of 0. And the next element that I take should also be in the range of the next bounds. So, and the next condition is the next element if I take this element, the difference between these two should also be equal to the difference of original of I. So, copy of I minus copy of I minus 1 should be equal to original of I minus original of I minus 1. So this is the first constraint, and the second constraint is copy of I should be less than or equal to bounds of I and 1, and also greater than or equal to bounds of I 0. So let us take another example instead of the example given in the question. 10, 20, 30, 40. So initially I would take the differences. 20 and 10 would give me 10. 30 and 20 would give me 10. 40 and 30 is also 10. Now, at copy of 0, I have to place only these bounds. So, the values would be less than or equal to 15 and greater than or is equal to 5. At the first place, I have initialized my element with 5, right? If I initialize with 5, the next element should be plus 10. That means if I have only the element plus 10, then only I would get the difference of 10. So 5 plus 10 would be 15. So the next element should start with minimum value of the previous element plus 10. Minimum value of the previous element plus 10, and the maximum value. What would be the maximum value at this position? It is like 50. So the maximum value at the previous element plus the difference 10. So it would be 25. So I assume that my next element C1 will be greater than or is equal to 15 and less than or is equal to 25 by adding 10. But if I go to the constraint, it is saying that 18 to 28. So all my values 5 plus 10 is 15 and 5 plus 10 is 25. So these are the values of the next element. These are the values of the first element. But here there is a constraint that the second element starts only with 18. That means only these elements from here. So what would be my value? The value at which the first element starts would change to 18. So instead of taking this or, I would take only this portion. That means I would take the maximum from the previous and also the current, which is 18. Now You might say I have 28. You might say I have 28, why not change it to 28? But these values in between are not present in the previous constant. So the first element can't be placed with 18. So that's why I can't get a 28 here. So I would consider the minimum. So here I would consider the maximum element because the previous all are went off, and here I would take the minimum element, and the next elements after this constraint are went off, that means washed off. So here there are 25 and 35, but I am adding the difference at this position, which is 10. So if I add it, my next value would start with 28. So C2 would start with copy 2 element would start with 28 and go till 25 plus 10, which is 35. But if I take the constraint 28 and 35, sorry, 25 and 35, here the maximum from 25 and 28 is 28 itself. So no need to take. But what I am doing here, at every step I take 28 to 35. So 28 to 35 are my values for C2, and these are the values for the upper elements with taking out the difference. So if I take out the difference, it would be the number of elements at this step would be 35 minus 28, which is 7. But 7 plus 1 because I am also adding 28 as the number. So 28 is also inclusive. Now let me go through the next by adding the difference plus 10, 38 and 45. So C3 would be from 38 to 45. Now I have the constraint. It is okay to not change the maximum or minimum value algorithm for this code. The first thing as I am doing is taking the difference array, and then I am going through this bounds. Going through this bounds by taking the difference. So, but before that, my low would be bounds of 0 and 0, and my high would be bounds of 0, 1. Now I am going through this bounds and my low is updated, but before that my bounds of I and 0 would be added with the difference, and bounds of I1 is also added with the difference. So my low would be the maximum of low and bounds of I0, sorry, 0, and my high would be the minimum of high and bounds of I1. So after the iteration of this bounds I will return high minus low plus 1. But when I have to return 0, when I have this low is greater than high, that means this constraint is not possible at that moment. So when my low is greater than high, then I would return 0. So this is how you solve this problem, and this is the code, and I have given the link of the submission in the description. Go and check it, and do like and share this video to your friends, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.